Welcome into Sports Tonight. Bailey Burmaster, Emily Gagnon.
What's up?
A good start to the week because, Emily, football is officially back.
Should we dance?
We should. I'm excited.
Because we've been waiting. Yeah, I think we both equally love football. Just wait till college ball is back, and I'll really, really be dancing for you guys. But I'll take some NFL football right now for sure.
So the Falcons will report tomorrow morning. It's just report day. They will talk, but then things will get kicked off Wednesday. Give me a little food for thought on what you're paying attention to these first early couple weeks and what you're going to be paying attention to the most as we get into the thick of training camp.
Yeah, so I've talked about it a lot, and I think a lot of fans, a lot of media will be watching Desmond Ridder, and they want to see how he's going to develop into the leader of this team. For me, I will not be watching that. I have my own opinions about that. I've been pretty open about it. You have not heard my opinions.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you share with me since we're still trying to learn each other's sports takes?
We are still trying to, we're just getting to know each other, you know? So we haven't seen a big enough. What is biggle?
Biggle? I like it.
A big enough sample size of his play yet to be able to determine if he's going to be able to lead the Falcons. I personally, from what I've seen, from what I know, I do not think that that's going to happen. Bailey, you will meet him in a couple of days. You'll be there for day one of training camp. And are you a big, size matters woman when it comes to the NFL?
Yes
and
no.
Do you like your quarterbacks tall? And
I'm not going to give you the blanketed statement of yes I do and no I don't, because I think a lot of it does come down to skill set as a quarterback of, do you run more? Are you good with the deep ball? There's a lot of other factors that go into it. I can tell you just from the little I've watched Ridder and from his time at Cincinnati and knowing the little I do about him, I'm not sold. So I will give him benefit of the doubt as the season gets underway, but I will be watching him in camp and compare that to other guys I've watched, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Kaiser, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield. There's a lot of sample size to pull from of things that you can tell if this guy's going to be the guy. And I'll be really interested too to see. I'm big on the clutch gene. Does he have the clutch gene where when you get in those fourth quarter, 2 minutes left to go, you need to go ahead and get the touchdown? Can he put you in those positions and can he win you the football game? I think it's obviously very possible the Falcons will be in some of those situations and we'll see how he performs. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think like you, I'm not totally sold yet.
I think when you interview him though for the first, second, third time, you guys will almost be looking eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think quarterbacks need to have a little bit of size to them, and he doesn't exactly have that. Though at Cincinnati, I keep going back to that because that's the only real reference we have. He was a leader there, and they won more during his time than the entire time that they've had a football program there. So I think he has a leadership gene, but whether he can win or not, that's still to be seen. And quite frankly, he has so many guys around him, so if he's not great, I think that they could still be successful on offense. But what I'm watching is the defense. So for years now, the Falcons have never, since I've been here, been known for defense. It's been a minute since they've been really good with the pass rush. They made so many acquisitions this offseason with veterans who are proven. So let's see if that makes a difference. Let's see if the defense can finally get to a quarterback. Poor Matt Ryan. Bailey, you weren't here during those rough years where he was sacked 40 plus times per season every season. Sometimes when he'd walk off the field, I'm like, how's that man even walking? So yeah, the offensive line is the problem there. So defense for the Falcons and then offensive line, those are the things that I'm watching, only because that's been the biggest struggle for them. Yes, the quarterback matters, and obviously that's what everybody wants to see in Desmond Ridder, but for me, I'm like, hey, did the defense get better? I think they were 31st in the league in sacks last year. When you take a look at the two teams that went to the Super Bowl, Bailey, both of them were 1 and 2 in sacks.
Yep.
So defense matters at the end of the day.
And I, going off the defense a little bit, I am really eager to see how Jesse Bates does in this defense and his impact, because I do think he is an amazing get for the Falcons, and obviously that was talked in depth here probably, but I'm eager to watch him in the run of camp and see guys like that are really infectious from a personality standpoint and a leadership standpoint of getting things organized back there. So I think it will be interesting to see that. I think you mentioned it too, the offense has a lot of weapons, so to speak, that Ritter can lean on. So I will be interested to see, how Kyle Pitts, when he's back out there, Drake London and Bijan Robinson get included and kind of maybe help Ritter build his confidence a bit.
Yeah, and I will say, the lacking of confidence I don't think is there yet, but once you start playing and you start messing up, that's when that happens, and he hasn't been in those situations yet where I feel like guys will tell you he's the first player in the facility every morning, like Ritter is. I guess he just doesn't sleep and he studies a lot. So when it comes to that, I'm confident in that. We'll have to see him play.
Well, and things like that always sound great. But the reality is you can do that, and if it's still not sticking when Sunday comes, does it really matter?
Yeah.
I hate to be like that, but that's the reality. So I think that will show itself. I think everyone's just super excited to see how that all pans out. Of course, other teams have started today, the Chiefs, Jets. I think the Lions got underway. So football season is here.
Yes.
It is here. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the U.S. Open. Georgia native wins this one, the Open Championship in England. Another Georgia Bulldog.
It's the year of the dog.
It really kind of is, and it's been the dog for a bit, I feel like.
Yeah, I keep thinking, man, the trophy case at Georgia just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Pretty soon they're not going to be able to fit them all there. But yeah, I mean, what I find most impressive about Brian Harman is the fact that, by the way, he is the first former dog to win this event ever. So he made a little bit of history there when it comes to UGA. But this is he joins Bubba Watson as the only bulldog to win a major championship. So again, a little bit of history there. But it's his first win in 6 years. And in golf, these things happen. It's the most inconsistent sport ever. And I guess that's why Tiger Woods gets so much credit beyond other things. I mean, he was able to be so consistent in winning. But golf is so hard to do that with. I love how he gave credit to Kirby Smart. I don't know if you saw that, but
I didn't.
After his win, that's one of the first things he said. And his quote says, "I kept thinking of something Kirby Smart said. I'm not going to be hunted, I'm going to hunt." And that's what Kirby told his players all of last season when they're trying to repeat. He's like, guys, people are hunting us, but we're also going to hunt. So even before the national championship against TCU on the field in LA, he's like, we going hunting. I'll never forget that. He said those exact words on national TV, and it caught fire. But yeah, so Brian Harman got the message from Kirby Smart, and he gave him credit after winning it. So that was pretty interesting. In the rain, too, by the way, awful weather there.
Well, and something I thought that was really interesting, I was listening to his, post-press conference. He's 36, and he thought his, dreams of winning a major were over. Especially, and this is so true, he made the point that this game is trending so young now, where you have these young guns coming in and just driving the crap out of the ball. And he was like, maybe my time has passed, but he said he was really grateful that this was the weekend that it happened. And something I read that I thought was so interesting is Harman, as a senior, he was obviously one of the Bulldogs' top player. He was battling Ricky Fowler in a back and forth match that would advance the team to the semifinals in 2009, to the championship. And that made me kind of laugh, because Harman and Ricky have both had major struggles to win a major. So to have these guys, winning recently as kind of older dogs now, I think is really cool to see.
No, I think it's awesome. And again, anytime that the dogs, can be somewhere doing something, we're going to talk about it. And good for him, 36 years old, getting a win on a big stage, giving Kirby some credit. Kirby probably ate that up, loved every second of it. He's like, man, if my players weren't listening, at least somebody
At least someone is now.
Yeah, I inspired somebody to win a championship. So, yeah, no, great for him. And the exposure this is going to give him, obviously, in a moment where, like you said, maybe he thought he was basically done. This is great. Talk about a confidence booster.
From football to a different type of football, Emily. Atlanta United is set to face off against Messi, who has just absolutely taken over the States after joining Inter Miami FC. They kicked off the Leagues Cup, which is a World Cup type tournament that they will will face Liga teams, which are just a bunch of different teams from Mexico. It was kicked off with Miami. Messi came off the bench. He came into the game, and eventually he did end up scoring in that first game to kick off the League's Cup off a free kick. Nonetheless, something he's an expert at. He is set to possibly start in Tuesday's match against Atlanta, and he will be wearing the captain armband. So his, acclimation period is pretty much over, and they're ready to full throttle him into this.
No, I think this is great for Atlanta United. It's something that they're super excited about. We heard from the team today. Players were talking about like their favorite Messi moments. Most of them talked about the most recent with winning the World Cup. So for Atlanta United, like for me personally, I think this is great for the players. It's great for the league. It's great for everybody. I cannot think of a better move by a league in recent history.
Well, a huge credit to David Beckham.
Yeah.
And his connections just within soccer to be able to bring him. And it wasn't just him.
Do you think he got a raise?
Does he even need a raise? Does it even matter at this point? But not just him, but Messi brought some guys with him as well. So this Miami team is very different, and they have a different roster. So there's not a whole lot of tape to pull off. And some of the guys with United were asked about that, and they said, yeah, it's difficult to prep for that, but we're also confident in what we have, that how our midfield and our center backs can help defend and hopefully contain Messi as much as you can. I think getting Miles Robinson back, who I believe was with the U.S. men's national team, is a huge, difference maker, especially depending on what formation they go with to play, whether they, 4-back or 5-back. It's going to be a very fun game to watch, and it's really going to test a young Atlanta United team.
And I don't, we got to mention this before we stop talking about football. Joseph Martinez plays for Miami now, and he is the beloved Atlanta United king here after having so many great seasons here. He's had so many injuries since his last great season, and obviously he left Atlanta for a reason, and now he's with Miami. But a bunch of players tomorrow are going to be like loving on Martinez pre-match, post-match, just because he was here for so long, made so many friends on the roster. So good for Joseph. He can play with Messi, which is probably a dream come true, and perhaps learn a thing or two. If I don't know how healthy he is at this point in his career, but it's going to be a good reunion for Joseph and the club.
Well, and something I told Fred earlier when we were kind of discussing this topic as well, something that's really cool about Messi is he's going to make everyone around you so much better because he's that type of talent. Like, not only can he be a total offensive force on your team, he's going to get the playmakers on your team and more involved and create more offensive opportunities. So hopefully Atlanta United is set to defend that.
I love it. And you're a soccer star yourself, so.
Ex-soccer star. I'm quite washed now, I believe. Stop. The kids, that's what they say.
I'm sure it's like riding a bike. You could go back on a field, on a pitch somewhere, and do it to it.
So I feel like from a soccer, technique standpoint, that's true. From a fitness standpoint, I genuinely do not know if I could last 10 or 15 minutes on a soccer field.
I feel like you're so competitive. I don't, me and Bailey are 1 week deep here. But I feel like her competitive side would come out in 5 seconds, so she might be winded after a few minutes, but she is not quitting.
I will tell you this, I have my last 2 stops in my career, so Cleveland and Green Bay. I've played in all men's leagues because I just feel like they're a lot more competitive, and I can run my mouth a lot more, and it's not as
the ladies
problematic.
Can't handle it?
No, not usually. So
I love it.
We go where it's warranted and they can handle it. I think it catches a lot of men off guard, but that doesn't seem like a me problem.
No, it is not a you problem.
All right, let's talk a little bit of tennis, Emily. The Atlanta Open here at Atlantic Station all week. The guy from Georgia Tech, Chris Eubanks, is set for his first match tomorrow at 7. I was able to spend some time out there Friday, but have you experienced a lot of this Atlanta Open and what takes place at Atlantic Station?
It's the coolest thing.
It really is.
I mean, for anybody who has not been or who's thinking about going and might have reservations, don't even think about it. Just go out there. It's such a well put together event. having a tennis tournament in the middle of Atlantic Station. They like build it up and then they build it down. I mean, it's like that quick as far as like putting the tennis courts out there. They build them and then they break them down. I mean, it's the coolest thing. To me, I learned that soccer when I first got, and not soccer, tennis when I first got here is such a big deal in Atlanta.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize how many people play and how many like leagues there are. And I learned that very, very quickly. Coco Gauff played last night. She won. And she's from Atlanta, and she gave credit to Atlanta, saying like being a black female in tennis, you don't see many, and I know Serena and Venus went through this as well. She's like, but I give all the credit to Atlanta. Like, this is who made me. Atlanta made me, and I'm so proud of it. And she had so much fun. She was out there dancing, like interacting with the crowd.
She seems like personality-wise just a fun, go-lucky type of gal. So that doesn't surprise me for some reason.
Yeah, and she beat one of my Canadian sisters. So I was like, come on. But no, I was happy for Coco. And you know who was right there watching her? Chris Eubanks. So
I wanted to ask you, because I got to talk to him Friday. That was obviously, I'm new here, so that was my first time getting to. Have you been able to talk to him yet?
he's the nicest guy ever. Takes
Could,
every single question.
and really gives you thoughtful answers,
Yep.
which sounds cliche, but in this industry, you don't always get that.
No. Yep.
I mean, it makes sense that he wants to be a commentator when all of this is said and done, which I think might be a little bit now that he's had his recent success at Wimbledon.
I know. Now you got to play a little longer.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I got new confidence. I got to keep going. But I was really, really impressed by him when we got to talk to him. So I'm eager to see how he plays this weekend, especially coming off the hype of Wimbledon. You know, you got to believe he has some type of new restored confidence in himself and his game.
And he gets to play another Georgia Techer. So that's kind of cool, like an inner like rivalry of two guys who know each other. But yeah, I think this is a great place that'll support him because he's from here. Not that he could probably go anywhere right now, Bailey, and people would be like white on rice on him. Yeah. So it's super exciting.
Well, I thought it was so funny in his press conference how he was saying, like, all of his friends were like, dude, you're on TV here. And he was like, yeah, probably like the second or third story in sports. But like, they were like, no, you're massive. Everyone's running your Wimbledon highlights. You're on TV. Like, Atlanta is backing you so hard, which you always love to see no matter what city it is when you're from and your people are repping you.
Yeah, no, I think it's great for him. It's great for the sport. It's good representation. No, I think there couldn't be anything better for tennis right now. I think it's great, and it's going to be in Atlanta all week. We get to see so many people come through here, and like I said, it's such a well put together event. Like if you have a night off and you don't want to just like go to bed right away because you have been like fully working since you've gotten here, it's a great place. Like get food, get some drinks, hang out. It's just a great event, and they do such a good job every year.
Let's go to what might be like my favorite part of this show, of what is on your mind.
What's on my mind first, or you first?
You go first.
Trayvon Walker, the former #1 overall pick in 2022 out of Georgia. He donated $44,000 to UGA's Athletic Association. Listen, he has not been in the league for very long, and he understands the assignment already. He understands that giving back is the name of the game, and he said that he does not know where he would be if it weren't for UGA, so he decided to so generously.
We got there. It's okay. We all have to
I'm
this
like, but he decided to so generously give money back to the university, which I think speaks a lot about him, but also about the university. So number one, he liked it enough to want to give back, and the university like did enough for him to want to do that, right? So I mean, heck, when you're the #1 overall pick, you've got money, and $44,000 might be, might not be the biggest amount of money, but it's huge chunk that
correct.
still goes somewhere that he's giving for no, it's not like he's obligated to. No. So props to Trayvon Walker for giving money back to the university that helped him, and he said as much.
Well, it's like you always come from somewhere, and it's so nice to always give back. And I mean, sometimes you can just tell the impact universities have had on athletes, and I think that's cool, especially as someone who's passionate about where I went to school. Very, very cool. What is on my mind? The Tour Championship is coming to Eastlake Golf Club or Golf Course here in Atlanta. I've spent some time out there today, and let me tell you, that course looks immaculate. They're getting all set up. They showed us where media would be, where we could possibly, set up if we wanted to do some sports casts from out there. There was a luncheon too as well. The food was great. Victor Cruz was there. Aaron Murray, former quarterback at Georgia, was there. I think it's going to be a really cool event, especially with the field of where it is right now, with the top so many players on the tour being a part of that, and Rory's story from years past. I mean, it's going to be an exciting event here in Georgia, and I think you've seen golf ramping up. It reminds me of when I grew up here, Sugarloaf Country Club. There used to be the Bell South Classic, which was a huge deal. If you went to high school around there, you would try and get out and go watch some golf. So it's the perfect time to also see some golf and tennis. I mean, things are thriving, and guess what? Football's back. We mentioned that, but football is back.
Hey, football's back. And like tomorrow, you'll get to hear about it, and then the next day after that. And we'll be talking about football every single day until February now. Yay, Miles is clapping.
It's finally here.
Miles, finally you're impressed with something we're talking about. I mean, come on, usually we get a few claps a show. This one took a whole 20 minutes before
Emily,
we started clapping.
I do have a question for you before we wrap up.
Yeah.
How are you going to stay hydrated at camp over these next couple weeks? I just feel like that's so important.
Get out of here, Bailey. I'm gonna
Are you a Pedialyte girl?
No, I'm going to go out on the field.
Liquid IV?
No, listen to this. I'm going to go on the field with some coffee, okay?
Because she's going to dehydrate herself.
I don't listen to the doctor's orders. I'm going to go out there with a Frappuccino, and I'm going to drink it, and then I'm going to drink some water afterwards. But I'm starting off the day with coffee because I'm not a former athlete, so I do not take care of my body.
I am a former athlete, and I still don't take care of my body, so that should tell you that. All right, we're going to wrap up here on Sports Tonight. Make sure to join us the rest of the week for all your top sports topics. That will do it.
Good night, good night.